800-709-4395, 800-709-4395, 800-709-4395.
The voice of Johnson County, JoCo Community Radio.
Johnson County, welcome to The Voice. I'm your host, Mike Wilshire. I'll get to my guest in just a second. We're going to start this off with it's pretty cool outside. I think it's in the 50s, somewhere around there. Godly ISD. Man, Godly, I don't know what to say. Dr. Rich Deere has been superintendent for 12 years, and in my opinion, it is time for a change. They've got to do something. In keeping with a pattern of, rolling through Godly ISD, they fired a convicted prostitute and current escort, according to Fox News. Now, Fox News 4 did a really, really good interview. They did a decent job at investigating the snot out of Ashley Ketcherside and found out about her prostitution conviction in 2012 and 2016. Obviously, Godly ISD has removed her from having anything to do with the children. These are misdemeanor convictions. This is not, somebody who went and robbed a bank or murdered somebody. Is a minor misdemeanor conviction. And obviously, Godly ISD had to do something. But my question is if this is one that they missed in their background investigation, how many more have y'all missed? And who's, Dr. Rich Deere, are you there? Are you accountable for this stuff? Who do we reach out to actually ask? And so I asked myself that question today, and I made a few phone calls to Godly. And what I have found out is that Godly is a place that you call and you get those prompts. Press 1 for this, 2 for this, 3 for this, and you get nobody. Absolutely nobody. Now, fortunately for me, right before I got on the show, someone did respond to an email, and I will investigate further and talk with that person and see if they can help me get a few things straight for my investigation that I'm doing going forward. But this is the second time I've reported on Godly ISD, and I don't know how many more I'm going to have to do, and that's only in about a month. So let's get on some good news. All right, Cleburne Public Library is hosting a free exhibit, Quilts That Tell a Story. That runs from December 1st through December 20th. It's a bunch of these quilts like my mama makes, which God knows I wish she would finish one, but it's a bunch of quilts. They're amazing. These little bitty people have sewed them together, and so I got to be more politically correct because I know a guy that makes some amazing quilts. Sewed them together and done a really, really good job. Looking forward to seeing that. I might actually go and just take a picture with a completed quilt so I can send that to my mom and make her unhappy as heck about me talking about it. All right, so now I get to my guest. Let me make sure I don't mic clip you. I've been mic clipping the snot out of everybody, not turning it on for them. So I have with me here in the studio the amazing, come on, man, you're a legend. You've been cowboying longer than I've been alive. If you think about it, you started off at 3-4 years old. I was born in 74. Golly, he's 20 years old. Been cowboying for 15 years by the time I was born. Right? I think he's born on the back of a horse. I got Randy Oliver here with me, all around cowboy clown, master engraver, silversmith. You name it, you've done it, right?
Pretty much. Much. I hate working a job. Okay.
Right.
So I've just done everything I could to learn something to do besides punch somebody else's clock.
Right. And keep money in your pocket and go forward. Now we gotta deal with the elephant in the room, your voice. Yep. You had a very horrible accident. What a horse and a bull never could do, a truck finally did. And you broke your neck, your back.
Crushed my ribs, punctured a lung, deflated it.
Something with your shoulder or collarbone, I think.
Shoulder blade bone, the scapula back there fractured it.
So you're lucky to be alive. I know that I followed it for.
Very lucky to be alive.
I know it was about a month or two into it before I even knew you was hurt. I just know you got quiet. And I think I called you one day and you were, well, I'm in the hospital. It's going to be a minute before.
I do. I remember that.
Yeah.
We did talk.
Yeah, I'm not going to be able to get out of here for a little bit. Not, dear Lord, I had no idea,
I was unconscious 15 days.
Oh, wow.
And
wow. I was unconscious 10 days from an accident that happened in Iraq when I was on a tour of duty.
Yeah.
And people don't realize that what that does to your brain. It's really bad. Now, you run the super risk of another concussion. It could be fatal. So we have to.
And I was having a reaction to the fentanyl that they had me out on and the morphine. I was having bad nightmares and
yeah, I don't do
hallucinations and stuff.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I woke up and I'm freaking out. I'm in a strange place. I don't know where I am. I'm tethered to the bed. And I was freaking out. And I fought these people tooth and nail. But they had these tubes down my throat all this time for over 30 days.
And that ruins your vocal cords.
We've damaged them pretty bad. I'm struggling to talk, but
you're going to get it back. But we're going to have to, after this show, we're going to rest your voice a little bit, right? And
trying to.
Yeah, get you some herbal tea or something. My mama fixes everything with herbal tea or aloe vera. Maybe we should rub some aloe vera on your neck. Maybe that'll.
I like your grandma much better than I did mine. Mine solved everything with an animal.
Now the reason why I have Randy Oliver here is you're from JoCo way back when. Your daddy, your great grandfather came here from Alabama 150 years ago, right?
Right after the Civil War. When the war was over, he came to Texas.
And he's buried here in Johnson County. Right there at that little cemetery. Where is that at? Right there.
Right. It's, if you know where Parker is, between Cleveland and Grandview, okay, it's towards Grandview. I mean, Parker's between Cleveland and Covington. And it's east of Parker, a little ways towards Grandview. There's an old cemetery there.
And that's where he is.
And he's buried there. He died in 1934. And he has a military gravestone from the Confederate States of America. He was a captain in the Civil
War. Huh?
Spent about 2 years in a prison camp in Illinois.
Oh, Lord. I can only imagine. The prison camps weren't good back then. I know that the prison camp was so bad in the South that that's the only dude that got hung from the Civil War. Well, after the war for war crimes was the guy.
There's horror stories about Andersonville.
Yeah, Andersonville. He was the only guy that got that punishment after the Civil War. All right. So in 1954, you joined us. Where was you born at?
August of 1954 in Johnson County.
In Johnson, at the house? I mean, back then?
No, at the old hospital.
He was born in the old hospital at Johnson County way back when. Nice. And we talked about something. And I wanted to get the exact time because people don't understand this. We didn't have no stinking devices. You didn't have an iPhone. You didn't have a computer. So at 3 or 4 years old, where were you?
Just on the ranch with my dad and my grandpa.
You was on the back of a horse following your grandpa around. At what age?
Way before I started school.
Right. So you start school at 5.
Yeah.
So
I was 6, just barely 6. Turned 6 in August and started school Labor Day.
So you was already climbing up on a horse and
I tell
following
people
around Pawpaw.
That when they talk about cowboy or they talk about horseback riding or something, I rode a horse behind my grandfather farther before daylight, before I ever started to school.
Right.
Than a lot of people have in their life. I followed my grandpa. We would leave out. We'd saddle horses 4 o'clock in the morning.
And where was that land? You told me where it was earlier. It's right across the way from, what's that across the street from it, that spread that y'all had back then?
We had a place in Godley and went from there to south of Cleveland. And then we had a place out by the airport. That was my dad still. It
was all about 1,000 acres, right?
Yeah, but we wound up in Rio Vista.
Rio Vista. Okay.
Rye Vista, we call
Rye
it.
Vista.
I have to say Rio Vista for all the newcomers.
So at about 8 or 9, you turned loose on your own on a horse.
I was cowboying, following cattle.
3 to about 7, you was following someone, and then 8 or 9, you go over there, get them, bring them this way. I'll go over here.
Or just send me out there.
Really?
I used to work for my grandpa for 50 cents a day, and I would gather cattle.
That was money, though. Hey, that was money. So, all right. So, now we talked about get to plug, and we're going to get to show our age now. Jack Lord. And you plugged him from even before. I mean, I knew Jack Lord from James Bond and Hawaii Five-0. What was your show you watched with Jack Lord?
Tony Burke.
Stony
He
Burke.
was a bronc rider, and I watched him religiously, and I tried to dress like him, act like him. I wanted to be a bronc rider like Stony Burke.
I love it.
I had grown up with rodeo cowboys in my house.
Right.
My grandpa was a bronc rider.
Well, hold on. Let's stop right there for a second
Yeah.
before we talk about them. At 3 years old, you met someone.
Yes.
Who was that you met?
The legendary Junior Meek.
Okay.
And his partner at the time, Buck LeGrand.
Yeah. And Junior Meek, 6'3". Buck
Yeah.
LeGrand, short guy, right?
Yeah, and I'm about 27 inches tall. Yeah, these guys were giants.
He was just a god
And,
standing there in front of you with the makeup on and everything,
yeah,
ready
and
to
I
get
was
out there.
mesmerized by them. And so my dad took me up to we was at the Fort Worth Stock Show. He took me to the clown room,
Mhm.
and I met them guys. And he took me up there and set me down next to Bernice Johnson's wife,
Mhm.
Frances Johnson. I sat there with her, and I was mesmerized by these guys at their antics and their stuff they did,
Mhm.
the comedy they did, and the bullfighting and all this stuff. And I went home at 3 years old and was trying to emulate everything I'd seen them do.
Okay, and that brings me to the next part of the story. You said Mom would get up in the mornings, feed everybody breakfast.
Grandma,
get get everything washed up. Barely the taillights are over the hill, and you already got something in the pen.
yeah, they would leave and go to town every day. She had this doctor she used to go see every day in Glenrose, and the dust hadn't even settled off the road, and taillights wasn't even good and out of sight. And my cousins and I would have something in a pen, bucking it, riding it,
Right.
doing something.
And you was already clowning in there. You said newborn calf. She was
Yeah, that's
running
where I
around.
got the fever to do this. So watching these
Right.
TV shows and then have these heroes and going out and trying to do what they did.
And you're 69 years old, and that fever ain't left yet, has
Nope.
it? Still in
I-
you. Still
Nope.
in you like it was. Okay, so we talked about
It's terminal.
Right, 3rd grade. And we talked about the 6'3". My goodness, that's a tall clown, right? And you were, I mean, you saw them leaping. And people don't understand. Like I have a lot of people who, because I know y'all, they think, oh, well, you can get me in with these rodeo guys. No, I know the rodeo guys because I was on the other side of a camera and the other side of the fence.
Mhm.
So I was filming. I was smart enough to knock the crap off my boots and go join the Army. And I never went back to the ranch. I own a ranch now that ain't got no animals on it just because I don't want to contend with them. They're dangerous at both ends as far as I'm concerned, and so I never, all these guys ask, well, how do you think I should get into being a clown? I was like, well, first of all, let me ask you what you're doing for fitness. How much are you running a day? How long can you jump rope? How many push-ups can you do? How many chin-ups can you do? Whoa, what are you talking about? I'm going to run around with a bull. Oh, let me tell you something. I know you guys clowns that took ballet so you could jump higher.
Yes.
I know guys who played basketball to get better at moving around out there. I was like, you think you're running around out there just trying to stay alive? That's not it. You've got to actually sacrifice yourself for the rider. You're out there and you have to make it look funny and make it look hilarious and make it look good. All along, this animal was sitting in a pen or on a pasture for 360 days out of the year, eating like a king and ready to kick your butt as soon as you step in that arena, right?
Yeah, I saw a movie called 3.
Mm-hmm.
It's about Dale Earnhardt.
Mm-hmm.
He used to have these nightmares that he was going to die in a car crash.
Mm.
And this mechanic guy told him, he said, you're having that dream again. He said, you have, and I tell young bullfighters this same scenario. You have to believe that it's never going to happen to you.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be willing to pay that price if it does.
Right.
You hope it never happens, but if it comes right down to you and the guy that's under that bull, somebody's got to get it. You have to be willing to sacrifice.
So I always
what it
tell
takes.
them the good news is back when you were young, you had to see someone do it, which meant your exposure to it was what your naked eye could see. And for the 8 seconds that this guy got thrown around and that you could watch on whatever you were watching, whether you were watching the clown, the barrel man, the rider, the guys up on the horse, that
It
are
was
trying.
trial and error when we come
Right.
from.
That's where y'all come from.
Yeah.
Now, a kid's got a device in their hand. So I tell them, you got it easier. Where the older guys had it easier is they were already in shape. They weren't fat. They weren't sitting on a couch. They didn't have childhood diabetes. They are out there working because there was nothing to do in that house. And my mom didn't even let us in the house whenever I was a kid till after sundown went down, till after the sun went down. So that was the thing that I try to tell people is that you've got the technology. You can actually look at what bull riders are doing. You can hear someone. You can listen to a podcast. You can talk
Slow it
to
down,
someone.
back it up.
Back it up. Go
Do it
forward.
again.
You
Yeah.
know, I sat there with Jerry Don Galloway, and we were looking at some footage, and he was okay. Go forward, go backwards, go forward, because he doesn't know the technology of the camera, but he knows about the bulls. He knows about what's going to score points and all that stuff. You guys know that stuff. See, that's good. See, that's a foul. That's wrong. This is that go. Y'all go through and rattle this stuff off, and I'm like, man, I need a dictionary to even know what you're talking about.
My mother bought a Super 8 movie camera,
Mm-hmm.
and I used to do movies of me riding bucking horses, fighting bulls, clowning, doing whatever I did. There was no sound,
Mm-hmm.
but you could watch it and you could say, this is good, this is bad, this is where I made the mistake. I
Mm-hmm.
was doing good up until this point, blah, blah, blah.
And even on y'all Super 8s, you had to be really good with it. I mean, we've all seen the Sabruder film. We all seen how bad it was because he had it loaded with the wrong film, and there was we've seen the Bigfoot footage, and stuff.
Yeah.
That's the old Super 8s. Now with the camera that I use now, I'm backed way away from you. I'm filming in 4K, so I can actually zoom in and follow it along the way if you get out of my screen, because the bull moves fast. I tell people the bull still moves fast for me, even though I got the super better equipment.
I had mother's camera and was videoing a friend of mine riding a bull one time,
Mm-hmm.
and that it's like the mirrors, that things are actually closer than they appear in that
Right,
screen.
right.
Anyway, this bull's bucking and he's coming towards me, and then all of a sudden all you see is dirt because I'm squatted down in the middle of the arena and this bull's coming at me, and he got so close and I sold out.
You ran. Left
Yeah.
the camera.
Now I didn't have the luxury of being outside up on
Right.
the fence and zooming in, whatever.
Yeah,
No, I
you
was
had
right
to get
out there with
close.
him,
Yeah, you had to
And,
get close.
yeah.
And I see guys do that. I see the guys do that with the iPhones, and they got that little big bow thing around it, the gimbal, and they're running. They're like, how come you don't get off in there? I'm like, you seen this belly? I ain't getting off in there, dude. That look delicious to that bull. If his snot gets on me, I was too close. And that happens a lot whenever they get close to the pin.
See,
They get
in
close to
my
the fence.
business, if you don't get a little snot on you, you wasn't getting close enough.
Right, you wasn't doing your job.
Yeah,
You got to be up there.
That was the deal. Those were the things, when after the rodeo's over, you could look and say, hey, look at this footprint right here. Look at this deal of bull snot where he rubbed on me. But hey, dude, I was in there.
Your resume, man. So first so you started clowning. We talked about this at 16. You did your first clowning gig.
No, Kona George Taylor asked me to help him do some acts and do some stuff and help him.
Didn't make a dime. Did it for free because you just wanted to get in there and break into it, right?
Yep.
And then your first paying gig, said, was at 17. You did 3 performances for $50.
Bill Lamb and I did the Alvarado High School Rodeo. We did 2 nights and an afternoon for $50.
I mean, golly, dude.
And what was funny, if I don't run out of time, I got to tell you this.
No, we got plenty of time.
Bernice Johnson was there, and he saw me.
Okay.
And he came by our house a few days later, and he was producing rodeos. And he was one of the premier rodeo stock contractors at the time. And he asked me, he said, well, he charged me to go to Uvalde, Texas and work college rodeo. And I said, I don't know. I said, I can't get out of school to go. And he said, I'll talk to you, Daddy. He'll be glad. And he said, well, you charge me. Well, them good hands, I call them, Jim Bob Feller and them guys, I'd talk to him. They were getting like $35 a performance.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm new and I don't feel I'm caliber they are. And I said, I was thinking 25. Okay. And so he said, there'll be Friday night and Saturday night, and there'll be a bull riding slack on Saturday morning. I said, oh, I don't know, what, 75? I said, 100.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, I don't think I can get you 100. He said, I can get you 75. And I said, what the hell? He's going to furnish the room and ride down there with him, and no gas, no nothing. He paid just, well, what the hell? Yeah, I'll go for $75.
Mm-hmm.
The rodeo committee brought me a check Saturday afternoon before the rodeo for $150. They paid me $75 a performance.
You didn't realize
I done
it.
making more money than the big boys was
Right.
making.
You didn't realize.
And yeah, you know,
negotiated.
I was going to go for
$100.
$100.
Right.
Burns thought I said 100 a performance, and he said I can get you 75. And so hell, I went, you know, and it's just been
Ever since, right?
Yeah,
Got the
ever
bug.
since.
And I mean, you
and it gets in
resume,
you, you know, that get.
you worked with Skipper Voss.
I
George
made
Doak.
enough money that weekend. I made over twice the money that the other boys at school was sacking groceries at Giant Foods and Piggly Wiggly's and working
I
at the
wouldn't doubt
gas
it at
station.
all. Yeah.
They was working $1 an hour and they was making $35 a week. I done
Yeah.
made 150 this weekend doing what I like to do. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
cutting the big hog,
Yeah.
as they say.
So you worked with Skipper Voss, George Doak, Quail Dobbs, Wright Howington. I mean, Jerry Don Galloway, we've worked together with him on
I
some
worked
stuff.
with them. Yeah.
You know, I mean, golly, you know, if you think about it, just all the experience of those names just right there added together.
They say if you see a turtle on a fence post, somebody helped him get there.
Right.
Okay. He may not belong there, but somebody helped him get there. I had some very fortunate things, right place, right time, knowing the right people.
Right.
I met a man named Bob Cook at my very first RCA convention in Denver in '74.
Mm-hmm.
And he just looked at me and took a liking to me and told me I could work for him. And so I did. And he's the guy that took those rodeo tours to Europe.
Mm-hmm.
He took us to Australia and he took us to Japan to, I don't know. And he was just excellent for me in my career.
Sure.
And all the deals. And I asked him one time, I said, Mr. Cook, just what is it you like about me? He said, you only cost me one meal ticket a day. He said, it would take 6 guys to do what you do. And I'd have to feed every one of them. He said, I only have to feed you one meal ticket. All you cost me. Because I fed the stock, I sorted the stock. I was a pickup man, rode broncs, I fought bulls, I clowned, I roped, I bulldogged, I rode broncs. Whatever he needed, I did.
Right.
But the man was, he owned rodeo stock contractors in California.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the top names in the business. That man put life in my career.
Right. And now, so we've got Rodeo Clown. I know you're a cowboy poet. I've filmed you doing your stuff. Your daughter's talked with you about the future of it, where it's going to go with you. But I want to make sure that we do plug, and we're going to come back and talk about it afterwards. But you need to go ahead and put out, it's Oliver Bros Silver. Now it's Oliver Bros for you youngsters. It's Oliver Brothers for us older people who know that BROS is brothers.
Yep.
But it's Oliver Bros Silver on Facebook. And that's how somebody can reach out to you to get some custom silver engraving done, handcrafted here in the United States by your hands. You're the only one that works at that
I'm
company.
the only one. I don't have any employees.
Yeah. The brother is no longer with us, is he? I mean, like he's no longer working with you.
My grandpa had 3 brothers, which was the original Oliver Brothers Cattle Company thing.
Oh, okay. So that's where
my daddy had 3 brothers, carried it on. I was blessed with sisters, but I kept the family business.
Kept the family business.
And I just, although I'm not ranching and real estate and like they were, it's still the same family and same company. And we just do, we are diversified. They call it. We do other things, but it's still the same family,
right.
Same company.
Same family, same company. You'll still get back out there. You're going to be messing with horses and cattle again in no time, right?
Next week.
Next week, moving up
on the Red River.
Up on the Red River,
sledding on a ranch. Has a ranch up there, and I'm going up to spend the winter with him. And I'm going to recuperate from some of my injuries, but I'm going to get the exercise, and I don't know. I'm just going to do what I need to do to
heal. That's what them old cowboys, the uncles that you had, we was talking about, didn't even know they weren't uncles.
Yeah, I'm feeling really good, but internally, I know in my mind that I'm not 100% yet.
Sure.
And so I'm going to work on that.
Yeah.
I learned from a cowboy friend of mine a few years ago, had a daughter who had cancer.
Mm-hmm.
I refuse to lose.
Right.
And I do the work. I do the rehab, and I've been doing my physical therapy. I do the whatever it takes.
Yeah.
I refuse
That truck
to
tried
lose.
real hard, but it didn't do it.
This guy bowed up to me the other day, and I looked at him and I said, "Let me tell you something, young man. I just went 3 rounds of the Mac Diesel, and I won." And I said, "I ain't scared of you."
Well, the funny thing is I always tell everybody, if you see an old person, they're a survivor. So I don't care if he's 80 years old. I don't care if he's 100 years old. I don't care if he's, 60. Whatever he is, if he's older than me, I know he's survived something longer than I have, and I ain't messing with him. And I heard that fighter Chavez was saying one time, he was saying something about Julio Chavez was saying something about they asked him if he's going to get in a ring and he was going to fight somebody because the guy was calling him out, and he said, "No, I'm retired." I don't know if you know what that means. He goes, "You can call me till the cows come home. I'm retired. I ain't going back in the ring and fighting no one." So I anyone ever bows up on me, I tell them, "Hey man, if you want me to come out of retirement, we got to sell tickets. We got to get in an arena with a referee. Got to get some gloves on and get some things on our face. And I got to go after it the old way so we can make money out of it." Because I ain't fighting.
That's what I'm in it for, the income, not the outcome.
Right. I want to make a little bit of cash off of it. If you're going to get me in the arena with something, I need to be paid. All right. We're coming up on 36 seconds until we go to commercial. And when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about the silversmith trade. And I want to go into a little bit more where you're going to go with the poetry stuff in the future.
I'd love to. Thank you.
Yeah. It's going to be good. Stick around, everybody. I don't know why we're not going into the music yet, but we will be coming back to you. There it is. I was getting worried, right?
I just love this kind of stuff.
I know, right? This technology thing is just leaving me in the dust sometimes, right? Time goes by fast whenever you got someone fun on the air. We'll be back.
Here's important new information from the Diabetes Solution Center for you, a family member, or a loved one suffering with diabetes. If you have lost your provider, or if you need a provider for diabetic supplies, you may qualify to receive your diabetic testing supplies now with little or no out-of-pocket cost, regardless of your age. All you need is Medicare or private insurance to be potentially eligible. Call the Diabetes Solution Center right now for details. Just takes a couple of minutes. Our friendly, knowledgeable agents will give you free, no-obligation information, handle all the insurance paperwork, and make sure your supplies are delivered directly to your door for free.
Call U.S. Medical Supply 24 hours a day. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. 800-597-9323. Call right now. 800-597-9323.
Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. Fast Track Student Loans can get your student loans out of default, stop any wage garnishments, stop collection calls, and stop seizure of your tax refund. Give yourself a break. Stop the stress and get your student loan payments down to as little as $25 a month based on what you can afford to pay. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395. 800-709-4395.
You're listening to JoCo Community Radio.
All right, Johnson County, we're back. I'm your host, Mike Wilshire, here on the JoCo Voice. I got my partner in crime, Randy Oliver, here in the seat with me. I got an excellent cowboy, silversmith. We want to send some love out to Luann Rice for saying Randy does excellent silver work. I agree. And Kim Dean says, "You go, Randy." So let's jump right into the silver work. Let's talk about this trade here. this is, this is something near and dear to my heart because it's being farmed out to other places. And just because you're getting cheaper don't mean you're getting better.
Mhm.
And buckle meant something whenever I was young.
Oh yeah,
Buckles were expensive. I mean, somebody personally who got a 1099 for how much?
$8,000.
$8,000 for a buckle he won.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'd get $8,000 for that thing. He went and hawked it. I mean,
Oh no, it's
probably
it's
worth
pure, it's all gold and
everything
and
that's in it.
everything about
but
it.
the
Yeah, it's an
silversmith that went into it and the things that are going into it. Now, you go and get one of these $80 buckles from somewhere else that people are importing in, and they go on a website, they draw it up on CAD, they send it off somewhere. That's something that's cookie cutter.
and they're made in Mexican labor, Mexican materials in Mexico or Korea or Vietnam or somewhere.
Right.
They're outsourcing them.
Yeah.
And,
And
makes it hard on us guys, I'll tell you.
well, it makes it hard on a legit silversmith. It makes it hard on you.
Makes it
and-
hard on the craftsman, the
Yeah.
guy that's doing his own work.
Right.
Yeah.
Now I know that. So I was over in Dubai, and this is just a story from my military days. I was in Dubai, and I wanted to buy a diamond, and I wanted to have a diamond ring for in the future for whoever I married, whatever I was going to do in life. And I went to this place, and I got this huge quality diamond for a fraction of the cost. And then they took me to what I felt like was a sweatshop in the middle of nowhere. And the guy set it because you had to bring it back set in something. You can't bring it back just carrying it. So I had to bring it back in a ring, and he had to set it in something. And I always felt, that the quality and everything that I got was good because it's documented that it's real silver. It's documented that it's real diamond and everything. But I just didn't feel the love for it like I would if somebody actually. So if somebody handed me a buckle that was made by you, would be somebody handing me something, and somebody
Thank you.
handing
I
me.
like that. I have a lot of. I'm a very passionate guy.
Mhm.
Whatever I'm doing, I'm passionate about it.
Mhm.
My cowboy, the silversmith, the clown, the comedy work. I'm very passionate about it, and I'm passionate about my silver work, and silver and gold, and so I put a whole lot of me into it.
Mhm.
And so thank you for the kind words, but there it'll be 100% me. I'll draw it, I'll cut it out, I do the whole deal. I have no employees, no people. My hands are the only ones that ever touch it,
Mhm.
and there's just a whole lot of me in this stuff.
And that's what I want to get across. This is a homegrown business, homegrown guy from Johnson County doing a trade that's a dying trade. I mean, it's essentially been farmed out. Now, I will tell you this, like being a coopersmith back in the day and making barrels for liquor companies was a trade that somebody did, and it was so many people did it up until prohibition and it went away. Now it's coming back and people are having to relearn the process because people are making their own liquors now and doing it where they're selling it themselves, doing it where they're not just like our cattle. People are getting it to where it goes straight from the field all the way to their fork by doing the ways that they know how to do it. Well, it's the same thing with silversmiths. This is a trade that I hope it comes back around and more people would want quality over quantity.
Exactly. And about 25 years ago, I was a single parent. I had a young daughter in elementary school, and I went to Mexico. A friend of mine told me where to go. I went to Guadalajara, and that's the silver capital of Mexico. They mine it there.
Right.
They mine it, refine it, and there's like 300 silver shops there.
Right.
They're all over the place. And I went down there and I was looking for a lady that could do the work, and I wanted to hire her to work for me. What I wanted was a nanny type thing, a housekeeper, help me with my daughter, but I needed her to be able to work in the silver shop to be able to pay her.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
She needed to turn out some work, and I needed to be able to afford this. I stood in a shop. Then I saw people making buckles in an assembly line. And there was the last guy at the end of the deal was putting the names on them. And he would put this company's name on this buckle and the next one and the next one. He would look at the buckle and look at the order form. Oh, that's this company. And he's putting these stickers on the back. And he was, this one deal, line was coming, and the guy at the end was determining who the maker was.
Right.
You know, this is this company, this is this company, this is that company. And the same people was making every one of them. But they were just shipping them out to the different people because everybody had this same fax number, would fax this a picture down there. These people make it, send it back to you for a fraction of what it would cost here.
Right.
But I saw that with my own eyes, and I'm not going to mention any names, any company names or anything. But I saw some big name companies. This company was, they did at least 4 different people's work while I was watching.
Wow.
And I said, and I just said, I'm still going to build stuff. I wanted a lady who could help me saw stuff out, who could sort her stuff together, because it's time I was getting enough work to support some help. You know, somebody to do the little things.
Whatever happened?
Well, I could do the bigger stuff.
Did you find someone?
Never found the person I wanted, so I just done it myself.
Ended up doing it all yourself.
Actually, my daughter went to work for me.
There you go.
Yeah, when she was in high school, she was actually helping saw stuff out and learning to sort her stuff together, and so she was a tremendous help. There was a time we were making buckles for high school rodeos. We could average a buckle a day, the two of us.
Nice.
We couldn't make a buckle in a day, but we can make 10 this week.
Right. Right.
And we were doing okay.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about where. So we've gone over where you come from and where you've been and what you're doing now, but we have a plan for the future now. And the daughter has talked to you about, because you are a poet, and I've heard your stuff, and I've heard some of it that's 45 minutes long. I've heard some of it that's 3 seconds long. And where we're thinking is you know, you're going to be putting out some social media content in the future. You're going to be doing stuff, so people need to look at the name and look for Randy Oliver out there in the future.
I was informed that Saturday we had our family Thanksgiving, and you know, and several different members of my family said, "Dad, you need a TikTok page."
Right.
So it's coming.
Yeah, we're gonna figure something out. Right. I don't know what we're gonna name it. We're not gonna say it on the air.
I have
whatever
a page.
We do.
I have a page already on Facebook called Story Time with Randy.
Yes.
It was a little contest I got into with a well-known barrel racer.
Right.
That she kind of trashed me in a video. And so rather than retaliate, and she was retaliating against a skit that I did about her one time.
Barrel racers.
And I
think that's a quote from Yellowstone.
Anyway, but I found her broke down on the side of the road one day, and I stopped and helped her out. And how she repaid me was trashing me in this video. And so I said, okay, what the heck? And a friend of mine told me, said, you know, and I was thinking, what am I going to do here? And because people are calling me going, dude, you're famous, you're in this video. And it was all over the place. And
I'm not bitter.
And well,
I was mad, but I wasn't bitter.
There you go. And I'm thinking, okay, you know, what am I going to do?
Right.
And a friend of mine said, you need to start your page. And she tagged me with this deal, and she rolled her eyes in the back of her head and said, oh, it's Story Time with Randy. And here we go. It's Story Time with Randy. And I tell these stories, and all of a sudden I've got this big following. She did me a favor.
Sure.
You know, she trashed me and made me look bad, but I just played it into a deal, and I'm going to say took the high road. That's not what I did. But anyway, it was coached from a friend that I did. I just turned it around and did it in my favor and made it work. And so if you're on Facebook, there's a Story Time with Randy, and there's I do these poems and stories and stuff. And I keep saying I've got some really cool stuff cooked up to do, but I'm by myself a lot, and I had to set my camera down. If I get somebody that can follow me around and let me move, and I got some really good stuff.
Grandkid.
I got some stuff cooked up that I'm going to do.
You got a grandkid coming along. Them things are born. Grandkids are born with a camera in their hand now, I think.
My oldest one is 12.
Yeah.
But she's not around much. I don't care who it is. Just,
right.
You know, homeless Joe under the bridge, if he can run the camera for me and follow me around, let me move And I got some stuff cooked up that I'm going to do.
There
So
you
it's
go.
probably going to go on the TikTok page and
Well,
wherever.
so you're talking about the controversy and something. So I have a friend named Ben, and so Ben does stand up comedy, and so do I. And Ben DeMan is his.
That's the deal you did at MacGyver's.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
kept wanting to come to that.
Yeah, we did some down there at MacGyver's, and I do it every now and then on the open mics and all that stuff.
MacGyver's owe me $50.
Right. We mention MacGyver's every time we say it. Y'all, it's another smash burger. But MacGyver's right there on 1187. We did a thing over there, and Ben the Man and I are actually friends. And I would post something on Facebook, and he would say something hateful, like because I'm a producer, man. I get up at 5 a.m. I've got to go do the next show. I've got something else I've got cooking up.
Mm-hmm.
So I would do my stand up, and I'd run off right after I do my stand up. I'd go up first and leave. And I said something about someone being funny. How do you know you leave right after you do your bit? You're not sticking around and supporting us. And I was like, it's not like anyone's going to laugh at your stuff anyways. And y'all are really having a beef with each other. This is, I'm showing up to this thing tonight just to see how y'all are going to act. And we'd be sitting there with his wife sitting between us, and we're laughing and cutting up and talking and stuff. And they're all like, I'm like, half the time I was texting him, hey, say this to me. Hey, say this.
We're selling tickets. That's all we're doing.
That's all we're doing, man. We don't, Gorgeous George said it best. It doesn't matter who's in the seat. If they hate you or like you, it's still money in your pocket. So go out there and promote the snot out of it, and that's what we did. That's what we did for the longest time, I obviously in rodeo, it's real funny because I could say this now. I don't have much to do with it anymore, so I can say this. It's funny when that camera stops rolling and you see what them cowboys really think of each other sometimes. they're all love and happy and stuff.
Some of the greatest bloopers are when the camera didn't stop rolling,
right,
and everybody thought it did,
and something was said or something was done, and guys, we're still on. And okay, and the things that happen along that way, and it's always funny and interesting. And I had a rodeo one time I had to do, and it was a kids rodeo, like a junior rodeo, like little 13-year-old, 14-year-old boys out there, and the parents had to stay in a certain area. And so they said, well, one of the dads says, hey, are you going to go jump over there and film them whenever they're down? I said, well, no, I'm staying right here. He goes, if you go jump in that chute, I'll give you $50 if you give me the tape. And I said, well, I ain't giving you the tape. It's a chip now, and I'll run off a copy of it. And I said, for $50, I'll give it to you. So I go over there and I film it. I'm not thinking nothing of it. So like 3 months later, I run into these little cowboys. And, man, you got me grounded for a month. I said, for what? Well, all the F words I said back there in the
language
my daddy didn't know I talk like that. Yeah. And I didn't get you grounded for nothing. Your mouth got you grounded.
Yeah, Dad didn't know I dipped snuffed or
right,
he didn't know.
It's always one of them little things that you like, you want me cowboy, I will get you. And you got to say the F word 50 times to get him pumped up. I'm like, man, you got me on the back of that bull. You don't need to say the F word. I'm already screaming inside already before it ever happens. I've been standing there at the gate where the guy didn't get on the bull quick enough and start getting prepared. And the judge, I guess the gate man, walks over and he's like, if you aren't on that bull in about 3 seconds flat, I'm going to swing that gate open and you missed your ride, and I've seen the back behind people don't realize, the rodeo's got a certain finite amount of time that they can keep everybody in them seats. And you being over there, the prima donna, getting ready and slapping your face and taking 15 minutes to get on the back of the bull. Nobody's ever heard of you. So, it's just eating up the time.
Yep, exactly. We talked about Jerry Don Galloway a while ago. Mm-hmm. One time we were at the high school rodeo. He had the stock. And this kid had borrowed my bronc saddle to get on saddle bronc. And it was bronc. They loaded the broncs, and while I was looking for him, and they called him, and we went on. So I went ahead and put the halter on, and so I went ahead and put the saddle on, and we waited. They called him again, called him several times, and booked every bronc. And this is the last horse left in the chute, and they're about to strip him and turn him out. And all of a sudden, here comes the kid running up there, jumping and pumping. And so he gets on the bronc and rides a little ways and bucks off. And he comes back to the chute. And so Jerry Don's folded his arms, sits on the back of the chute and says, let me tell you something, kid. He said, I'm so and so, and I've roped and I've rode bucking horses and I did all this stuff. He said, but I don't smoke and I don't drink and I don't do this and I don't do none of these bad habits. And he said, so let me tell you something. The smoking deal's got to stop. And this kid's eyes got big, and the daddy looked at him and like, what the hell are you talking about? And Jordan nailed him. He said, I know you was in the parking lot smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
And this kid just like, okay, and all of a sudden he confessed his sins right there. But
I've been smoking and drinking.
but I tell people all the time, you can fool the fans, but you can't fool the players.
No.
We had been there.
Yeah.
You know, and this daddy was just looking like, what? My kid's smoking? And Jordan just nailed him, said, just out there smoking a cigarette. And I know you was.
Shouldn't have been
And
out
this
there.
kid
Should have
just,
been here.
man, he just, you know,
Right.
Jesus just walked over his grave, you know, and he's going, man, you know, how'd you know? And he said, come on, dude, you know, I'm 35 years old. I've been there. I know what I'm talking about.
We filmed so many rodeos, and Jerry Don and I were at one time, and so what we used to get up on a platform was we used his flatbed, and we backed his flatbed up to a certain point at the fence, and we're right there. So whenever they take off and they're roping on the breakaway and all the team roping and all that stuff, as they're coming towards us, we've got a really good view. It's excellent view. It's perfect. However, two things that I did not know at the time. We were right by the water hose, and that was going to make slop at the end of the day. And I didn't realize that when we got off that truck, it was all I could do to keep standing up. And you know, I'm not dressed for a rodeo. I'm dressed to be out in the heat. So I'm wearing like moisture wicking stuff, and I've got this bandana on my head to try to keep the sweat out of my eyes. We got bugs flying all around us. We've got them barrel racers tying their horse off to the truck, and it's moving as they're we're like watering down the horse and cleaning up.
Every one of them that roped or run barrels, they had to go when they left the arena. They went to the water hose and hosed their horse down.
Right.
So now there's a loblolly out there.
Yeah, and I mean, you talk about a mess getting out of there, and had to put my Tahoe in 4-wheel drive to get myself out of there to pull away from it. And every time I turned around, there was a horse about that far from my Tahoe. And I've had my paint ate by a horse once or twice in my lifetime. So I was just nervous as all get out. So I have to be careful with that in the futures, you know. Now nowadays with all that stuff, I'd gotten out of the practice of it, moving away from farmland and ranch land, and then I get back into it. Now I'm gonna park my truck way over there up on a hill,
and you learn where the water. Yeah. This is where they wash their horses.
Right.
I'm gonna be over here.
I'm going to
avoid this area.
Right.
Yeah.
I turned around one time. This guy was running a rodeo, and the guy that was running it, he's pretty bad off, busted up, kind of old cowboy, and he's running across the whole field, running towards us, screaming and hollering, and I'm up on this flatbed. Long trailer, and filming down, and I mean probably 6 or 7 times I grabbed a cowboy and pulled him over that rail. That's how rank those bulls were, and it's very rare they make it that far because I'm on the other half of the arena, so it's half the arena fenced off. I'm looking over on this flatbed. I'm reaching over to grab cowboys, pull them up. I got someone else working the camera at the other end. And I turn to look to see if it's my camera person's about to get clobbered by something. And I look down, and there's 3 children in the arena playing in the dirt right there on that side. The parents just not looking, not paying attention. And their kids, can I go play in that dirt right there, Mom? Oh, yeah, you're safe on that side of the fence. Well, the kid's on the wrong side of the fence. Not to mention, I don't know how many times I've been at an arena and seen a bull leap a 6-foot tall fence and like a deer. And keep going.
I was in Potosi, Texas, right outside Abilene. Had a bull riding one time, and saw one of the baddest hooking bulls I'd ever seen in my life. He hooked everything in the pen, and he hooked me on the fence. And anyway, and he hooked me off the fence and me down. Well, I rolled underneath this panel, and this bull was hooking with his horn, and he lifted these 2 panels up and separated them, and he went in this pen where the sheep were that they had for the mutton busting thing, and he was hooking these sheep, and I was laying on the ground looking, and there was sheep going 10 feet in the air, and he was throwing sheep up in there. Well, and when he did, he hit 2 more panels and opened them. Now he went out into what was the rest of the arena where we had it cut in 2, and there was kids out there playing.
Right.
And here goes this bull.
See, that's why I wasn't allowed to go to rodeos when I was little.
So the guy goes out there and ropes him and brings him back, and then the guy missed the cut gate, and the bull wound up in the same alley with the horse. And so then here come the bull back in the arena, dragging the lat rope, and they're trying to put the panels back together, and here comes the bull, and them guys, they scatter, and he gets loose again. But it was a major deal. But kids playing in the dirt,
Yeah,
these were actually outside where they're supposed to be, but you never know when something's going to happen.
We weren't allowed to be around any of that stuff.
This football separated 2 panels twice and got a loose.
Was that you that posted that on Facebook? If you enter this field, you better be able to clear it in 9 seconds because the bull can do it in 10.
It wasn't me, but that's a good.
You've seen that?
Good.
Somebody put that on there the other day and said, if you enter this field, and I'm like, truer words have never been spoken, because I think the only thing that was scarier for me than being chased by a bull was being chased by maybe a rooster or a turkey whenever I was a kid. But once you get it, because those are realistic on the ranch. That's not realistic to get chased by a bull. They don't get out often.
That actually happened to me one time about 1 o'clock in the morning. We'd gotten stuck. We'd left the rodeo because it'd been raining, and got down the road a ways, and it wasn't raining. We thought, well, let's turn around and go back. And stupid me, I tried to make a U-turn in the median, and we got stuck. So we had to walk a long ways down the road, and we finally wound up, somebody picked us up and called us to the filling station. The wrecker come get us. But while we were cutting across this field, this darn bull got after us. And, it's 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like 17 years old, and got a little friend with me. We went to school together, and this bull's after us, and we got behind a telephone pole, and till he went the other way, and we went the other direction. And
I could just see you guys moving around that pole. It'd be like that.
We was maneuvering around that pole.
Mongo when he comes into town, and everybody's just trying to get out of the way. He's got all those guys pushed up against with the piano. That's about the way that bull was.
That's kind of that. He had us made up there.
Oh, Cheyenne says, that's my dad. Thank you, Cheyenne, for listening in. We got Casey Cooper saying, right on, Randy Oliver.
Now I don't know if I mentioned Casey Cooper's name a while ago.
Oh,
fantastic bullfighter guy, and just an excellent friend. I can't say enough good stuff about Casey Cooper. That's where part of the ethic come from as far as me doing the rehab and the work. This man is a former baseball player turned bullfighter, and he has a work ethic like you would not believe. And he broke an ankle a few years ago, and he rehabbed that deal and worked it out. And I've kind of patterned myself watching him that I'm just religious about my little workouts that I do with my physical therapy and stuff to get back from Casey Cooper.
Oh yeah. Good. Shout out to Casey Cooper, man. We, talking about the Cowboys in the community and stuff. And I mean, like, I can say out of all the communities I work with as a producer, as somebody that works with, I work in the medical field as a producer, I'm doing this, the radio and all that stuff. All the people I work out with, you guys have always been top notch at supporting each other when the chips are down, because there ain't no insurance for you guys a lot of times.
We're a big family, and I'll tell you something. The time I spent in the hospital this year, I used to tell people as a humorous thing, when I die, I want to be cremated because I don't have 6 friends.
Right.
And, I was going to have to hire pallbearers or something, I found out I've never felt so loved in my life as the pouring of Cowboys who came to my aid and come to support me. And they called on me. They checked on me. And I'm talking about the big guys, Justin Rumfords and Robbie Hodges, and these guys was all calling me and saying, hey, how you doing, man?
Yeah.
And
I think
it made me feel super good that these people, Johnny Dudley and I can't tell you all the guys that call me up and say, how you doing? And that's great for a guy's morale.
Yeah.
I needed that. That made me
Hey, Wes Leonard, if you have a picture of some of Randy's silver work that you have, silversmith work, if you would post it in the feed on this at some point in time. This is going to go up on YouTube and it's going to be there forever. And I want the work to be shown. I don't actually have any of your stuff. I haven't ever bought nothing yet, but I'm gonna get
some.
I'm gonna get off my butt and finally get some, start pampering myself, start taking care of myself as a man. Yeah, we're coming up to the end of it, but man, I'm going to have you back. I want you to bring in some of your poetry next time. We'll read off a little bit.
I would love to do that.
You are a cornucopia of Johnson County information. I mean, we didn't even get to all the name plugs of all the people you've known over 60 years of your life that you could probably remember their names. Hell, I mean, probably even almost 67 years because you was riding a horse at 3. So, we didn't even get to all those, but I'll get you back on the show in a few weeks.
Yeah, I love it.
It's been great, man. Randy Oliver, it's Randy Brothers.
Oliver Brothers.
I'm sorry, Oliver Brothers.
Yep.
Oliver Other Silver. I'm sorry, man. I'm losing my mind. Is it?
Thank you to everybody that was listening and watching. God bless you. I love the support.
Yep. Couldn't say it better myself. See ya.
From Burleson to Venus and Grandview to Godley, this is the voice of Johnson County. JoCo Community Radio.